Okay, it's time for a video number 14 in our 300 Blackout series. It's been a while, right? It's been a couple months since my last video. For one thing, I got busy, but on the other hand, I was kind of handcuffed on 300 Blackout. I've done a lot of thinking, I've done a lot of reading, had some commenters offer up some good info on what they think is going on with the gun. You know, previous videos where we saw lead build up at the end of my chamber, and we had some keyholing with my cast bullets that still needs worked on. We're not going to deal with any of that today. Just to kind of get back on track, I want to go ahead and just plow forward with testing of the Palmetto Projectiles, the 203. I think it's 203. I always get them mixed up. It's either 203 or 204. 203 grain Palmetto Projectiles coated bullets. So that's what we're going to do today. So previous videos, we've already mapped out each of these powders and determined, you know, what it takes to get 1,050 feet per second. That's our goal for a subsonic load, is 1,050 feet per second. So that's this video. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to deal with any of the other problems that we're stuck on, and we're just going to move forward. Maybe along the way we'll gather up some additional data that'll shed some light on our other issues. I don't know, but we'll leave them for another day. So this is going to be our initial accuracy testing. So I'm going to load up all 7 of these powders with our 1,050 feet per second load, and then we're just going to go shoot them and see accuracy wise what's going on there. So just from previous testing, we know some of these aren't going to shoot very good. Norma 200 in particular has got massive velocity spreads. Some of the others won't function the gun, like Lil Gun won't function the gun, but we're going to shoot them all anyway, just for the heck of it. I went back through the old charts, and let's see, I'll just throw it here on the screen. Here are the loads we're going to be running. So yeah, I'm not going to read them to you. You see them there. Everything else is exactly the same. 1.95 inch overall length, which is what the Palmetto Projectiles site suggested. We're going to use CCI number 41 primers, and just some of the brass we've already used. I've got 45 pieces out here because I want just 5 shots of each one. So that gives us 35. The 7 powders, 5 shots each. Then I want to load up an additional 10 rounds with 1680 just for sighters. So we can make sure we're on target and any scope adjustments and all that sort of crap before we start testing for accuracy. So that's pretty much it. I need to get my crap together, get the dies in the press, and start getting prepped. But this should go pretty quick. I'm not going to do anything different. It's all the exact same thing we've seen in the earlier videos. So we're just going to push this right along and get to the shooting part. Step 1, quick trip through the sizing die, pop out the primer, and then flare the case mouth. Nothing to it. Just using a light coat of Imperial sizing die wax. I'm not going to tumble these, just going to size them and then wipe them off with a rag. Get most of the gunk off of them. The other thing I'm planning to do, since we've got since the problem with the lead buildup in the chamber is still outstanding, I don't want that to affect these results at all. So I think while I'm shooting, I'm going to go ahead and run a bronze brush down the bore from the bore end, just to keep that loose and keep that clear, so that, why do I keep doing that? So just to keep that clear so it doesn't affect any of our accuracy problems. And then once we get beyond this, then we can revisit that later. I think what it comes down to is the design of my chamber. I think it's just, I don't know, the end of the chamber and into the lead, into the free bore. I don't know, that area there. I think it's just a very sharp angle that's scraping some of that coating. So I don't, but I haven't read about anybody else having these issues with these bullets. So I don't know what to think. I'm tired of thinking about it. But I think we'll go through these, these powders with this bullet in this video. And then next I want to move on to some of those. I've got some AMAXs, some 208 grain AMAXs, jacketed bullets that I want to try out. And of course, there's been some delay with my suppressor. My initial application got rejected because of some BS, so they had to make a few changes and resubmit my Form 4. And that was just last week. So I'm hoping to have the suppressor in, 7 to 10 days or something like that. And definitely want some ammo ready to shoot through it whenever that day comes. So alright, I'm going to get through the rest of these, get them sized and decapped and flared, and then wipe them off. And then next step, we'll be ready for primers. Or I'll probably inspect them. I don't know if I want to do any case mouth work on these, like chamfer the case mouth. I think they're in pretty good shape, so I may skip it. But once I get them cleaned up, I'll be able to see that a little bit better. So yeah, the resizing and the wipe down went just fine. And these case mouths are in good shape, so I'm not going to worry about prepping them too much. Which honestly, I've already flared them, so even if I did want to prep them, it would be a pain in the butt. So no big deal. I'm trying to decide what distance to shoot these at. So the previous videos, we've been shooting really close. 20, 25 yards. So these, I definitely want to shoot them at least 50. Maybe, got a primer kind of going in a little bit funky. They do that sometimes. There it went. So yeah, maybe I can use the 10 ciders I'm going to load up to maybe do some initial testing, see if 75 yards is doable. Maybe 50. 50 is a good round number. Should be far enough to give us a good idea of what's going on. It's probably the smart move. Alright, so I'm going to plow through with the rest of these guys, and then it'll be time to start throwing powder. So I will see you guys at that point. Starting off the powder charges with our 15 rounds of accurate 1680. 5 for record and 10 for record, or yeah, 5 for record and 10 for sighting and fouling and all that sort of crap. 11.6 grains is our number for this one. Alright, that's our last guy. Move this back for a second. Quick visual inspection. Make sure all 15 have powder. Looks like they do. I'm not going to sort the bullets at all, you know, by weight or anything. We're just going to shoot whatever we grab. Later on, when we're really trying to narrow this down to our final load, maybe we'll do a little bullet sorting, but then again, maybe not. I honestly don't really even know what to expect as far as accuracy goes for these subsonic loads, especially the coated bullets like this. A couple inches at 50 yards, maybe. Yeah, maybe 2 inches at 50 yards. That would be okay, I guess. Just really don't know what to expect. Alright, so our bullet seating die has long since been messed with, so we're back to setting it from scratch. What was our overall length? 1.95 inches is our target. Yep, that's about a mile too long. There. .171. Let's see. It's about 200 thousandths long. So let's see. We need to go way, way, way down. Alright, I think that's probably still like 25 thousandths long. .995 and 1.950 is our number, so we need 45 more thousandths. 25, 35. Check it again. Yep, so we're about 10 thousandths. That should be close. 1.952. Hit the next one here. .948. So yeah, it looks like we're in good shape. Also got the Leaf Factory crimp die. It's set, you know, the same way we had set it in previous videos. Just enough to get rid of any of that remaining flare and not go, you know, too far, like digging into the bullet or anything crazy like that. So I'm going to go finish seating these 15 and then move on to the next powder. Not much exciting here, just measuring powder from this point on. Just down to these last few charges. Absolutely nothing of interest has happened while you were away. Just trucking right along. You guys decide what distance I should shoot these at yet? Still leaning towards 50. Like to be able to fit all the groups on one target just to make life easier, and should be able to do that at 50 yards, I would think. There we are. 45 rounds ready to go. So let's get to it. Alright, so it's time to get started. Decided to shoot at 50 yards. And we're going to start out, we've got our 10 extra sighting rounds of accurate 1680 that we're going to use to get our scope dialed in. Those of you who are dropping in late, not familiar, this is my 300 Blackout SBR. It is an 8.5 inch Rainier Ultra Match barrel, Rainier bolt and bolt carrier group, and yeah, BCM handguard, an upper, cheap Anderson lower, a Magpul UBR stock, magneto speed chronograph on there to get our velocity readings, and then a massively huge scope. This is a Vortex Viper HST. This is just on here for load development. This gun will eventually either get iron sights or maybe a red dot. I still haven't decided. But that's what we're going to get started out with. These 10 rounds of 1680 to get things on target. Alright, so we've got all 10 rounds in the magazine. Going to start out with shooting at the big dot in the center, and we'll just see where we're at. Okay, just tying to the right. I can live with that. Just keep shooting. See if we get a group forming. Alright, that is definitely close enough. Kind of threw that one low and that one high, but otherwise pretty darn close. Everything's tight. It's good. Our average velocity was 1,069 feet per second. And standard deviation was 11.7. So not too shabby. And we're on target. So let's get resituated and we can start shooting for groups. So I'm just getting the gun put back together. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm going to tear it apart between each group, and got a bronze brush. I'm going to run from the muzzle end toward the chamber just to break any of that lead loose where we're seeing the buildup. Then I've got a mop to just go in and make sure that chamber's clean. So that's what I'm hoping. Hopefully that will get rid of any of the leading issues, so we can focus on accuracy at least here today. So yeah, let me get resituated and we'll get started with, I think it's little gun. We're going to shoot from fastest powders to slowest powders. We're going to see probably some function issues here with the first couple powders. You know, the fastest powders don't like to lock the bolt back, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, 7.8 grains of little gun, top left dot. Alright, not a bad group, didn't lock the bolt back, which is not a surprise, like I said. And our average velocity was 1,026 feet per second with a standard deviation of 24.5, so a pretty high standard deviation, but right there in the ballpark, just a touch low. Alright, let me get this thing cleaned and then we'll move on to Winchester 296. Okay, 8.9 grains of Winchester 296. Alright, we got bolt lock back and everything. Group not too bad. Good deal. Average velocity was 1,056 feet per second. So that's right on the money. And standard deviation was 16.7, so that's a good number. Okay, 9.5 grains of IMR 4227. Alright, no bolt lock back with IMR 4227. But the group's pretty good. Oh, and I forgot to mention, average velocity with the 4227 was 1,048 feet per second with a standard deviation of 13.6. So perfect. Pretty good velocity numbers on all of these. Okay, accurate 1680. Anyway, 11.6 grains. Alright, that last one was a little off, but bolt lock back, everything looks good. Average velocity 1070 feet per second. So a little bit hot on the 1680 load, but pretty darn close. Standard deviation 5.8, so very consistent. Okay, 12.4 grains of Norma 200. Alright, bolt lock back. Average velocity was a little hot. It was 1082 feet per second. Standard deviation 22.9 feet per second. Yep. So, reloader 7's next. Okay. 11.4 grains of reloader 7. Alright, bolt lock back. Average velocity 1086 feet per second. Just a touch hot. Standard deviation 13.1. Okay, last up, IMR 4198. Okay, bolt locked back, everything ran good. So, average velocity 1084 feet per second, standard deviation 14.4. So let's get the target back to the bench. Let's inspect it really close for keyholes. Get some measurements of these groups and see if we can come to any conclusions. Alright, so we've got some pretty interesting results. If we start out with group size, 1.6 inch was our best group, and that was IMR 4227. So we had low gun was 1.87 inches, Winchester 296 was 2.27 inches, IMR 4227 1.6 inches, accurate 1680 2.44. But that last shot that dropped way the hell out of nowhere really turned an otherwise good group into one of the worst. Norma 200 2.78 inches, Reloader 7 2 inches, IMR 4198 2.78 inches. Not awesome, not even good. And I think it's obvious why whenever we look a little closer, these bullets are not going in straight. Tell you what, let me try and get you guys some up close views. Every freaking bullet hole in this paper is like that. If you can see, it just kind of has the longer smear, the grease mark, whatever you want to call it, on one side. That just tells me these bullets are not going through this this heavy poster board straight at all. It's, you know, it's not a full-blown keyhole, right? It's not like they're going in sideways, but they're not stable, and that's all there is to it. So it's no wonder that none of these powders gave us decent accuracy with this bullet. So this is leading us down a road I really don't want to go down. But the funny thing, I don't even know where to start with talking about this, because there's a couple different things that I've thought of that might be able to cause this issue, and we're going to need to test them. The first of all is the obvious. You know, we've had problems with this bullet, obviously not stabilizing, and we had much worse problems with my own cast bullets that are heavier. What were they, up around 240? If I can find one, there we go. Yeah, I remember these blue guys that were up around 240 grains, I think. I don't, my memory sucks, but these were worse. And at the time, I was thinking, you know, it might just be a matter of finding the right bullet diameter to fit the bore nicely to get them to stabilize, but not really an option with these store-bought jobs, right? These are 309, and that's all there is to it. These are barely over 200. It's seeming like this barrel is just having problems with the heavier bullets. And this 8.5 inch Rainier Ultra Match barrel is a 1 in 8 twist. So in the 300 blackout world, it seems to be 1 in 7 up to 1 in 8.5 twist is kind of the range of barrels that are available. Mine is a 1 in 8, so it's kind of in the middle. But you know, when I was researching 300 blackout to build my gun, everybody said that, you know, 1 in 8 is fine. Certainly for 220s, you know, some of the 240s, 250s, maybe you'll have issues, but you know, it certainly shouldn't have issues with 200 grain bullets or 203 grain bullets. We know this barrel shoots well with lightweight supersonic stuff. I mean, all you have to do is go back to the earlier videos when we were shooting jacketed bullets to see outstanding performance. Up to, I think we shot some 150s. I don't remember if we shot 168s, but we were shooting heavier bullets. We were shooting the lighter bullets, and the thing just absolutely shot outstanding. Not the case here with the heavy bullets. So another thing, the chronograph, right? This is hanging off the end of the barrel. The bullet's just, you know, traveling right above this guy. Could this be causing issues? Maybe just some turbulence that's causing the bullets to lose stability. Just they're so slow. Maybe. So I want to do some testing without the bayonet, and I also want to do some testing with these guys. These are the 208 grain AMAXs. You know, obviously jacketed bullets. So if I load up some of these and they're not shooting stable, then we know it's the barrel, right? I mean, pretty much has to be the barrel. Just can't deal with these heavier bullets. I don't think we'll find that. Next video, I'm going to load up some of these and shoot them. I expect them to fly like a dream. So, but if they don't, then we're kind of stuck and I need to go buy a new barrel. It's just all there is to it. And that's another thing, like 8.5 inches. Yeah, I think there's some 8-inch barrels out there, but 8.5 is pretty much as short as you get in these configurations. Is it enough to stabilize? Is it enough freaking barrel, enough rifling to get these big ass lead bullets stabilized? I don't know, but that's where we're going. That's going to be the next video. Load up some of these and see how they fly. Load up some more with the Palmetto bullets and shoot them without the chronograph, just to kind of take that out of the equation. And that will be that. So our earlier testing, where we kind of blueprinted each of these powders as far as velocity goes, we were pretty darn close. You know, with our extrapolated charge weights, 1,026 feet per second, 1,056, 1,048, 1,070. So something like accurate 1680, that was 11.6 grains and it got us 1070. Next loading I'll probably go to 11.5, but we're right in that ballpark. And the slower powders, the 3 slower powders, were all up in the around 180, so all these need to drop by a tenth or two, and we should be in good shape. I'm not sure what to expect out of the AMAXs. You know, they're slightly heavier, but only 4 or 5 grains. We should be in the same ballpark. I might drop them an additional tenth maybe for these. I don't know. We'll deal with that in the next video. But for this video, it was just a bunch of wasted lead. Not really. I mean, we learned a lot. We've got a plan to move forward, but I don't know that these groups are all that significant, other than to say that they're all bad and they're all caused by bullet instability. I want to drop some powders. Little gun did not lock the bolt back, and in the past it's had problems with actually functioning the gun. For this, you know, for where the series is at right now and what we're trying to accomplish, little gun, we're going to take it off the table. Same thing with Winchester 296. In this video, it actually locked the bolt back. It functioned just fine. The velocity was great. The groups weren't any worse than anything else. So, nothing specific against Winchester 296, but in the past, some of the earlier ones that had problems with bolt lock back, so we're going to drop it. And same thing with IMR 4227, which didn't lock the bolt in this. Once we put a suppressor on, all of these would probably function it. You know, just from the additional gas from the suppressor being on. But I would really like to have ammo that I can shoot without the suppressor if I so choose. So we've got plenty of powder. These three aren't getting it done, so we're going to drop them. Accurate 1680 obviously stays. Norma 200 is the one we've had all sorts of weird velocity variation going on. I mean, it wasn't terribly bad this time. The standard deviation was only 22.9, which is not awesome, but not terrible. We're going to drop it, so Norma 200's off the table. And then the two slowest guys we're going to keep, Reloader 7 and IMR 4198. So moving forward, we're going to be using Accurate 1680, Reloader 7, and IMR 4198. Once we get our shit together, and we kind of work this, you know, we'll probably come back and revisit some of these other powders, like the faster powders, how I was mentioning that they will probably function once you get a suppressor on. I want to prove that to myself. So, you know, once we kind of finish this path out, we're going to circle back and hit some of these other powders later, no doubt about it. So, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for joining. See you next time. This will be really soon, like this weekend. Like if you're watching this in, you know, shortly after it's posted, the next video will be up soon, because as soon as I wrap this one up, I'm going to start loading our ammo for the next one. So, see you then.